Hurrah!
And I welcome the fact there is a clear majority to reject any no-deal outcome. The amendment to the finance bill last week demonstrated the will of the House on rejecting the danger, and it is a danger, of a no-deal outcome that would cause such chaos to so many people across this country. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not enough for the House to vote against the deal before us and against no deal.
Okay, streaming on YouTube as well. If you're watching an archived version, you might want to fast forward about 28 minutes to the top of the show. Yeah, so this is going on live in Westminster. This is the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn,
in the coming days,
saying they're not going to vote for the government tonight and May's deal. Guess what?
Opportunity to debate and vote on the way forward, to consider all the options available. The overwhelming majority of the House voted to respect the result of the referendum and therefore voted to trigger Article 50. So I say this to our negotiating partners in the European Union. If Parliament votes down this deal, then reopening negotiations should not and cannot be ruled out. We understand why, after 2 frustrating years of negotiations, this, I'm saying to the European Union, you would want this resolved. But this Parliament, our Parliament here, has only one duty: to represent the interests of the people of this country.
Good God!
And the deal negotiated by the government does not meet the needs of the people of this country.
Silly person.
The people of Britain, including many European Union nationals who have made their lives here, these are people who've contributed to our country, have contributed to our economy and to our public services, including our National Health Service. And those people are now anxious and have no faith in this government to manage the process of settled status fairly or efficiently. And the early pilots of the scheme are very far from encouraging. The Prime Minister claimed that this is a good deal. And so confident was she of that she refused to publish the government's legal advice.
Good God.
But her government's own economic assessment clearly tells us it is a bad deal. It's a product, Mr. Speaker, of 2 years of botched negotiations,
Lots of bollocks,
in which the government spent more time arguing with itself and in its own cabinet than it did in negotiating with the European Union. It's not only on Brexit that they have failed. Under this government, Mr. Speaker, more people are living in poverty, including... Mr. Speaker, I'm talking of the poverty of 500,000 more children who've been moved into poverty while this government's been in office. I'm also talking of those that have been forced into rough sleeping and homelessness, which has risen every year. Too many people are stuck in low-paid and insecure work. Too many people are struggling to make ends meet and falling deeper and deeper into personal debt on credit cards and loan sharks. Nothing in this Brexit deal and nothing on offer from this government will solve that. That is why Labour believes that a general election would be the best outcome for the country. If this deal... is rejected tonight. We need, Mr. Speaker, to keep in mind that the vast majority of the people of this country don't think of themselves as Remainers or Leavers. Whether they voted Leave or Remain 2.5 years ago, they, all of them, are concerned about their future, and it's their concerns this House must be able to answer and meet. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that tonight this House votes down this deal. And then we move to a general election. So the people, Mr. Speaker, so the people...
Order. Nobody's going to shout the right honourable gentleman down, just as nobody will shout the Prime Minister down. All they're doing, by causing me to intervene, is taking time away. Not necessary, rather foolish, thoroughly counterproductive. Jeremy Corbyn.
So, Mr. Speaker, the people need to be able to take back control, and a general election would give them the opportunity to decide who their MPs were, who their government was, and who was negotiating on their behalf. And it would give that new government a mandate, and the mandate that is needed to break the deadlock that has been brought to this House by this government. But first, Mr. Speaker, I ask this of the House. Vote against this deal. Vote against this deal because we've had a very long and very detailed debate in this House. More members have spoken in this debate than almost any other debate I can remember. They've given a heartfelt analysis of this deal. And a very large number have said why they will vote against this deal. Quite simply, Mr. Speaker, this deal is bad for our economy, a bad deal for our democracy, and a bad deal for this country. I ask the House tonight to do the right thing. Reject this deal. Reject this deal because of the harm it would do, and show that we as MPs are speaking up for the people that we represent, who recognise this deal is dangerous for this country and bad for them, their living standards, and for our collective future.
This debate has lasted some 8 days over 54 hours, with speeches of powerful sincerity from over 200 honourable and right honourable members.
Oh, I tell you what a lot of old
It has been historic for our
cock.
Parliament and for our country. We have heard contributions from
Come
every
on, Tez,
perspective,
tell it to the
looking
nation.
at all aspects of this complex and vital question. We've seen this House at its most passionate and vigorous.
Yeah,
and I thank
yeah.
everyone who has contributed.
Oh,
No one watching this debate can be about the strength of this House of Commons, the fulcrum of our democracy.
hold on. Oh, fulcrum of
This
democracy.
is a
Fulcrum of
debate.
democracy. Tell that
This
to
is
Joe
a
bloody
debate about
Burko,
our
love.
economy and security, the lives of our constituents, and the future for our children and for generations to come.
Yeah,
It goes
yeah,
to the
that's
heart of our
right.
constitution.
We voted to leave. Okay, share the show,
In
folks. Share the
2015,
show.
my party stood on an election manifesto
Never mind what.
that
Oh,
had
hold
as a
on.
centrepiece the
Suppose we
promise
should
of an
listen.
in-out referendum on the UK's membership
That's
of the
right.
European Union.
29th.
The British people responded by electing a Conservative government to follow through on that
Oh,
promise.
blimey.
That is what we did when this House voted overwhelmingly to hold the referendum and put the choice
That's
in
right.
the hands of the British people.
That's right. That's right.
Indeed, 470 current members voted in favour of it,
What?
and only 32 opposed it.
Only
That
32
campaign was
opposed it out of
keenly fought. It caught the public
650.
imagination like few campaigns before it. Turnout was 72%, higher than for any national poll
But
for
the
a quarter
problem
of a
is,
century.
Teresa, you want to give
And
us
while
this
not
lousy
overwhelming, the
deal
result was
with this
clear,
veto
and
in it,
was
and
decisive.
I mean, come
Something
on,
this
that's
House
not
accepted
Brexit.
when we voted overwhelmingly to trigger Article 50. 436 current members voted to do so, only 85 opposed. Parliament gave the people
that's right.
a choice.
No deal.
We set the clock ticking on our
May's deal or no
departure.
deal?
And tonight, We will determine whether we move forward with a withdrawal agreement that honours the vote and sets us on course for a better future.
Gives them a veto.
The responsibility of each and every one of us at this moment is profound.
Yeah, that's right. Vote it down.
And give up, either by revoking Article 50 or passing the buck to the British people in a second referendum.
Yeah, none of that
but
crap.
I believe we have a duty to deliver on the democratic decision of the British people.
Yeah, which doesn't involve giving them a veto.
So in a way that brings our country together.
This woman is just
to further division. There'd be no agreement to the question, let alone the answer. It would say to the people we were elected to serve that we were unwilling to do what they
You didn't put the veto in the manifesto, did you?
Now, the
You
second
didn't put the
possible
veto
outcome
in
is
there.
that we leave on the 29th of March without a deal. But I don't believe that's what the British people voted for.
No.
Because they were told that if they voted to leave, they could still expect a good trading relationship with the European Union. And neither would it be the best outcome. Our deal delivers certainty for businesses with a time-limited implementation period to prepare for the new arrangements of the future relationship. No deal means no implementation period. Our deal protects the rights of EU citizens living in the UK and UK citizens living in the EU so they can carry on their lives as before. No deal means no reciprocal agreement to protect those citizens' rights. Our deal delivers the deepest security partnership in the EU's history, so our police and security services can continue to work together with their European partners to keep all our people safe. No deal means no such security partnership. And our deal delivers the foundations for an unprecedented economic relationship with the EU that is more ambitious, that is...
I said earlier it was becoming really rather a noisy and unseemly atmosphere, and that has now resumed. It must stop. The Prime Minister must be heard. The Prime Minister...
Blimey, it's
Our deal
Burko,
delivers
isn't
the
it?
foundations for an unprecedented economic relationship with the EU that is more ambitious than anything they have ever entered into with a third country. It will give us the benefits of trading with the European Union and the ability to forge new trade deals in our own right. No deal means those new trade deals come at the expense of a trade deal with Europe, not in addition to it. So while it is categorically wrong to suggest that our country could not ultimately make a success of no deal, it is equally wrong to suggest that this is the best outcome.
Oh, you're a
Now, third,
moron.
there is the path advocated by the Leader of the Opposition, and we've heard it
You
again,
are
of calling
such
a general
a
election.
moron.
But today's vote is
You
not
are a
about
moron.
what's best for the Leader of the Opposition.
You're a moron. Roo, Barney McGrew.
And at the end of the general election, whatever the choice is made, will leaving with no deal or leaving with a deal.
Oh, here we
And
go.
there's no guarantee
Project
that
Fear.
an election would make the parliamentary arithmetic any easier. All it would gain is 2 more months of uncertainty and division. In 2017, the two main parties both stood on manifestos
Why?
that pledged to deliver the result of the referendum.
Yeah, and you're not.
They got over 80% of the vote.
That's right.
People had the opportunity to vote for a second referendum by supporting the Liberal Democrats in 2017.
Oh, no, that would have been a mistake. That would have been a mistake. They got about 7 votes.
7% of
7%.
voters did
Yeah,
so.
there you go.
It
7
is
votes.
the job of Parliament to deliver on the promises
Yeah,
made
but you're
at
not.
the last
You're not.
election,
That's the problem.
Not to be seeking a new one. Now, some suggest there's a fourth option. To agree
Oh,
that
no.
we should
What's
leave
that?
with a deal on the
Get Neil
29th of
Kinnock
March,
back.
but to vote this deal down in the hope of going back to Brussels again and negotiating an alternative deal. But no
Oh.
such alternative deal exists. The political declaration sets the
We're
framework
so lucky
for
to
the
have you,
future
Teresa.
relationship.
What would we
the next
do?
phase of negotiations will be our chance to shape that relationship. But we cannot begin those talks unless or until we agree the terms of our withdrawal. And the European Union will not agree to any other deal for that withdrawal.
You know, I wouldn't trust this woman to
So
serve me a
having
bowl
ruled
of
out
cereal.
all of these options, we're left with one: to vote for this deal tonight. One that delivers on the core tenets of Brexit, taking back control of our borders, laws, money,
subject to
trade and
veto.
fisheries, but in a way that protects jobs, ensures our security, and honours the
And is all
integrity
subject
of
to
our United
veto.
Kingdom. One that strikes a fair balance
she's
between
mad.
the hopes and desires of
She is a moron.
those who voted to leave and those who voted to stay in. And if we leave with the deal I'm proposing, I believe we can lay the foundations from which to build a better Britain.
Put your hands
And
over
as
your
Prime
ears,
Minister, I
people.
would not stand at this dispatch box
Oh,
and
no.
recommend a course of action that I do not
Come on,
believe is
God,
in the
strike
best
her down
interests
for
of our
crying out
country
loud.
and
Do
our
something
future.
dramatic. Oh, somebody
And there
knock
are
her around the head with
differences
a
in
mace
this
or
House
something.
today, but I believe we can come together as we go forwards.
Oh.
And let me reassure anyone who's in any doubt whatsoever, the government will work harder at taking Parliament with us. And as we move... As we move on to the
Hark at
next
that.
phase of negotiations, we
They
will
love
be
her.
looking to work with Parliament.
This is our
to seek
supreme
that
leader.
Consensus. But, Mr. Speaker, let me turn to the most contentious element of our deal,
Please
the Northern
do.
Ireland Protocol. I said... I will.
Oh, hold on. What's going on? What is going on?
My right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, knows that what concerns many of us is the possibility of the permanent nature of the Northern Ireland backstop. May I refer her to my Amendment B on the order paper, which sets a deadline for that backstop, and may I ask her what is the attitude of the government to my amendment?
Right.
Can I thank my right honourable friend for the question he's asked and for the work that he has been doing to try to find a way through on this
for
particular
calling you
issue.
out as a
I know
fraud.
he spent a long time consulting with international lawyers on this issue. The government isn't able to accept the amendment that has been selected, that my right honourable friend has put down that has been selected tonight, because we have a different opinion and a different interpretation of the Vienna Convention. But I note that my right honourable friend has put down an alternative proposals in relation to this issue. The government is willing to look at creative solutions and will be happy to carry on working with my right honourable friend in relation to that particular issue. I said I would turn. I said I would turn to the Northern Ireland.
Order. The House must calm itself. Zen. Restraint. Patience. Hear the Prime Minister.
I set out the government's position in detail on my statement in my statement yesterday, so I'm not going to go over it again. But the key thing to remember is this isn't a commitment we're making to the European Union. It's a commitment to the people of Northern Ireland and Ireland that they will be able to carry on living their lives as they do today. It's about saying that whatever happens when we leave the EU, we will honour the Belfast Agreement. Its success has been built on allowing people from both communities in Northern Ireland to feel that their identities are respected under the principle of consent. For many people in Northern Ireland, that means having a seamless land border between the UK and Ireland, which is also essential for their economy. For others, that means fully respecting the fact that Northern Ireland is an intrinsic part of the United Kingdom. No one wants to see the return of a hard border. And as a proud unionist, I share the concerns of members who are determined that we do not undermine the strength of our United Kingdom. But it is not enough simply to make these assertions. We have to put in place arrangements that deliver those ends. And it's not just as simple as some would like it to be. So, as Prime Minister for the whole UK, it's my duty to provide a solution that works for the people of Northern Ireland. The answer lies in agreeing our future economic relationship. But we need an insurance policy to guarantee there will be no hard border.
Blimey. Hello, Shadow Dynamics on YouTube. Hello, Shadow Dynamics. I thought I'd give you a call on YouTube tonight.
Very, very grateful to the Prime Minister for giving way. And would she agree that
Do
whatever
it for longer.
one's view on this withdrawal agreement and whatever arguments that people deploy, that we should not be using the peace or the political process in Northern Ireland as arguments for voting for this deal or voting against it. Would she agree that that is completely and utterly out of order? Make that clear to all of our Cabinet colleagues as well.
To the right honourable gentleman, I think everybody across this House is committed to ensuring that we maintain the arrangements of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, that we also ensure that we maintain the many benefits that have come from the peace process in Northern Ireland. And that should not be disrupted, and that should not be affected in any sense. But I also say that whatever future relationship is going to be negotiated or people want to see being negotiated, that insurance policy is essential. Any of the other proposals, Canada, Norway, any number of variations of those models, all of them require the insurance policy, and that is the so-called...
8 minutes, folks. 8 minutes to the top of the show. 7 minutes, yeah.
Stop simply means no deal now and for the foreseeable future. And I don't want to see anybody being able to exploit no deal and bringing doubt about the future of our union as a result of that. And let's remember, if I may say to this House, what the withdrawal agreement does deliver for the people of Northern Ireland. An implementation period, certainty for businesses. Protection of citizens' rights, certainty to thousands of families.
That was a drum roll.
No hard border, unfettered access to British and EU
and a
markets,
veto.
protection
And a veto.
of the single electricity market across the island of Ireland, securing energy supply in Northern Ireland, continued security cooperation with our European The deal we have puts our union first.
Probably improved it.
Now, let me turn to the contribution of the Leader of the Opposition. Characteristic speech, characteristic his whole approach to Brexit, long on criticism and short on coherence. He's claimed that he'll be able to renegotiate the deal in a matter of weeks, get a drastically different outcome, and despite the European Union making clear that's impossible. But everything he does is designed to avoid taking any difficult decisions, saying one thing to one group and another thing to another. In the general election, he said in his manifesto, freedom of movement will end. On Sunday, he said, I'm not against the free movement of people. When asked about Brexit in a German newspaper, he said, we can't stop it. The referendum took place. Article 50 has been triggered. In his speech at Wakefield last week, and again this evening, he said a second referendum was an option on the table. He says Labour would run an independent trade policy, but he wants to join the customs union. He says he's opposed to no deal, but he says he's opposed to withdrawal agreement and the backstop without which there is no deal.
Dear.
So the question is, what is his position? Because he has failed in his responsibility to provide a credible alternative to the government of the day by pursuing from the start a cynical course designed to serve his own political interest and not the national interest. He has forfeited the right to demand loyalty from those of his MPs who take a more pragmatic view, because he doesn't care whether we leave or not, with a deal or not, as long as he can maximise disruption and uncertainty and the likelihood of a general election. And I hope that members opposite, who faithfully pledged to their constituents that they would respect the result of the referendum, that they think carefully before voting against a deal which delivers Brexit. And I hope that those who fear leaving without a deal, whose constituents rely on manufacturing jobs, think very carefully about rejecting a deal that is the only guaranteed way to take no deal off the table. Mr. Speaker, this is the most significant vote that any of us will ever be part of.
They all think you're mad.
Careers. After all the debate, all the disagreement, all the division, the time has now come for all of us in this House.
Oh, for goodness sake, get on with it and vote, for crying out loud.
Will define our country for decades to come.
Blimey.
a decision that will determine the future for our constituents, their children and their grandchildren. A decision that each of us will have to justify and live with for many years to come. We know the consequences of voting for this deal. They are laid out in black and white in the pages of the withdrawal agreement. But no one who votes against this deal will be able to tell their constituents what real world outcome they voted for. Because a vote against this deal is a vote for nothing more than uncertainty, division, and the very real risk of
I'm very grateful for the Prime Minister for giving way. Prime Minister, on any of the analysis of Brexit, economic growth will be lower than staying in the European Union. Will the Prime Minister not realise, on the basis of the knowledge and on the fact that people are going to lose
Get on with it and vote, man! Holding it all up!
To extend Article
Show starts in 2 minutes, for crying out loud!
Let's act in all our interests.
Bugger off out the... Clear the chamber!
Clear the room! Honourable gentlemen, Parliament gave the British people a choice.
Oh, yeah, that's right, and you've completely buggered it up.
All those campaigning in that referendum were absolutely clear that whatever the decision of that referendum, it would be respected by government and by Parliament. And I believe that we have a duty to deliver on that referendum vote, and to do so in a way that does protect people's jobs and protects our security and protects our union. A vote against this deal is a vote for nothing more than uncertainty, division, and the very real risk of no deal or no Brexit at all. And it doesn't have to be that way. Tonight we can choose certainty over uncertainty. We can choose unity over division. We can choose to deliver on our promise to the British people, not break that promise and endanger trust in politics for a generation. Because as members of Parliament, we have a duty to serve not our own self-interest nor that of our parties, but the people we were elected to represent. It is the people of this country that we were sent here to serve. The people of this country who queued up at polling stations, who cast their ballots so they might put their faith in us. It is the people of this country who entrusted us with the sacred right to build for them and their children and grandchildren the brighter future they expect and deserve. And if we act in the national interest and back this deal tonight, then tomorrow we can begin to build that future together. If we act in the national interest and back this deal tonight, we can build a country that works for everyone. Together we can show the people we serve that their voices have been heard, that their trust was not misplaced, that our politics can and does deliver, that politicians can rise above our differences and come together to do what the people ask us. That is the test history has set for us today. It will determine the future of our country for generations. We each have a solemn responsibility to deliver Brexit and take this country forward. And with my whole heart, I call on this House to discharge that responsibility together, and I commend this motion to the House.
December and the 9th of January, I must have questions necessary to dispose of proceedings on the European Union withdrawal. As I explained the sequence earlier,
good evening, good people.
Familiar to colleagues, I begin by inviting
and welcome to the Daily Brexit.
Not moved. I turn now.
Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination and exposing plutocracy. I'm Olly Connolly. Thanks for turning up. And now, May Day. featuring this bloke.
Very well.
Oh, this is it. This is it, as Leo said when the Titanic sank. It's D-Day. It's May Day. It's a big day in Parliament, big day. Oh, there's a lot of old bollocks, probably. This is what's going on with the big vote on the way. Yeah. Aye. Oh, division. Oh, that's a big no. That's a big no.
I think the noes have it.
Oh! There you go.
Is the honourable gentleman persisting? No. Persistence in order.
Are they going to do a division? Are we going to see?
Persistence. If the honourable order.
Are we going to get a tally?
The honourable gentleman wishes to press his amendment. He is entitled to do so. Oh, yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is. I'll be the judge of that. The question is that the amendment be made. I'll say it once more. As many as have been, say aye. Of the contrary, no.
Oh, these are the amendments. Yeah, these are the amendments. It's not the big vote yet. So hold on, there might be a division there. Anyway, okay, right. So they're doing their thing in Westminster, and I'm going to stream some of that. So I'll pull it in. Let's see what's going on with hold on, there you go. You're on YouTube as well as on Facebook tonight, and they are now going out to do a vote on some amendment to May's thing, and I didn't listen to what that was about. I don't know about any of you. If you want to tell me in the comments, then that'd be great. We got Piers popping in as well, and I don't know, you tell me. I think James Gore is here now. James, can you hear me, mate? Oh, hold on, let me get rid of this music. Yeah. Oh, blimey. James, can you hear me? No, he can't hear me. We got Boozy in the green room. Dr. Chris Boozy. Boozy! No. Oh.
Hello, Chris. Hear me?
Oh, that's James. That's James Gore. So, James, could you hear what was going on in the chamber there? Are you getting the rough idea of what's going on?
Give me a second, Matt.
Oh, blimey. Okay. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the... let's see if I can pull up the media. There we go. There's the media. Right. Okay. So the actual video is here, probably. Is that it? Or is that it? That's Farage earlier. There we go. This is it. This is on YouTube, The Sun Live. And so I'm just going to use their coverage and piggyback off it for this particular show. Because what's going on is really interesting, Hart. This is really fascinating. I mean, it's all a bit of a stitch up. We know that, but it is. This is it tonight. This is the big. What is it? Red pepper thing. Yeah, this kind of going on. So let's, kind of check it out. And I don't know. Maybe it'll be entertaining. Probably not. But yeah, this is it. This is what's going on. This is. There you go. Hold on. There's old Burke. What's it not? There's a protesting outside. Hold it. Let me get my settings right. Oh, blimey. Hold on.
Sir Mike Penning and Nigel Evans. Tellers for the noes, Wendy Morton and Ian Stewart.
Right, okay, so they're going to tell us the, result of that vote, are they? I don't know. Oh, maybe not. I'm not doing this very well, am I? Yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to basically follow what's going on in Westminster tonight, because we will know, it should be within half an hour, more or less, we should know what the deal is with May's deal and whether or not it's been voted or not, and what of these amendments, have gone through or whatever, and what the implications are. And if anybody wants to join me and have a chat about this, then great. Please do. And, oh, look at that. I've just lost the media panel. Hold on, let me sort this out. There you go. Right. Okay.
His mates came in on knowing about what they were doing on the
Hold on, folks. I'll try and get this picture sorted out, yeah. Because we're going to be living with this throughout the show. So I'll try and get as big a picture as I can. And that's the Sun's coverage. So, whatever. It's basically Parliament Channel, isn't it? Or whatever, and they all take a feed off it. Okay, fine. So, I organised this really well, didn't I? I am still pretty rusty with all this. Okay, so James, can you hear me, mate? Or Boozy? Chris Boozy, can you hear me? I can see you there on the live show on Discord. If you want to call in on Discord, gov.ly/rant. Don, can you hear me? None of them can hear me. Oh, yeah, you know why? No, I'm not muted on that. So, hold on. Right, I was muted on Discord. Okay, you can hear me on Discord now, yeah. Boozy.
Was you supposed to have a guest in here tonight, Ollie?
Yeah, James, you're the guest at the moment. Piers Garnham is supposed to be dropping in to have a chat about the New World Order, what's going on, and the latest from Ben Fulford, and at the same time covering what's going on in the Commons. So anyway,
describes that pretty well, Ollie.
Hold on a sec. Somebody's... Who can I hear in the background is shouting? James, is that where you are?
No, I'm not in any background. I'm just holding my mic, trying to put it to my mouth a bit.
Right. Okay. So the Commons, they are still doing that vote there. I'm going to have a look and see what's going on in the world of fake stream tonight. And on Drudge, it's just yes or no for May. So, I don't know. They're probably putting that from what? Oh, the Sun. Okay. Corb Chaos. Labour vows to bring down Theresa May within 24 hours and could overturn Brexit completely. This is their take on what's going on. The Sun. Jeremy Corbyn is expected to table a motion of no confidence in the government immediately after Mrs May's deal gets thrown out, as predicted later. And I understand that this vote of no confidence could happen within minutes of the vote being... what's that, James?
You reckon it's a delay tactic?
Is what a delay tactic?
Like, if they're trying to throw the deal out on purpose to like get like an extension on it.
An extension on what? Article 50? That's what they want the extension on, isn't it? They want to extend Article 50 basically constantly, it seems to me. Okay, all right. We'll take some comments here. What a lot of crap is coming out of Parliament, says Ian Bright. Yvonne Tierney, Labour has pulled their amendments. Okay, let's go back to the Commons. Okay, they're just... all right, there's a bit more activity. I'll keep an eye on what's going on in there. Debbie Shaw, we're all praying, not Kerry, but I fear you're right. Kerry says that they'll back May's deal. Blimey, I'll tell you, I find it incredible that there's any chance of that at all, I have to say. Darren Walker, we're all praying, not Kerry. No, that's Debbie Shaw. Darren Walker, we'd love to smack that little man, Burko. They're all like a pack of spoilt kids, says Daz Butterfield. Jane Middleton, have they gone for a comfort break? They've all got the shits. Stavros, it's the guy with the blood red faces amendment. Okay. Okay, fine. Right. So anyway, they're leading with Corbyn's thing in the Sun. Let's see what the rest of Fake Stream is doing. Just whilst they're, not doing much in the chamber. EU cracks. Eurozone president admits EU can change course on Brexit deal. Is their top story after their editorial by Dellingpole. EU cracks. Eurozone president admits EU can change course. on Brexit deal. The president of the Eurozone Finance Ministers Group has hinted at the possibility of changing the terms of the UK's Brexit deal. Despite the European Union's insistence, it can't be renegotiated. Mario Centeno said Tuesday that if the British Parliament rejects the agreement struck with the European Union by Prime Minister Theresa May, we will be able to change course. Yeah, well, I'm sure they would. If there was a no-deal prospect, I'm sure they would. The Telegraph tonight, live MPs to vote on Brexit deal. As we know, Theresa May says outcome will define country for generations in final plea to Parliament. And it could be that the EU doesn't allow us to leave, to basically stop being their cash cow for generations. And so, yeah, Theresa May, you could be absolutely right. Piers, can you hear me, mate, on Discord? No, he can't. He can't. I don't know if anybody can hear me on Discord. Anyway, there's still nothing quite going on in the chamber. Guardian, their take on tonight. Theresa May faces historic defeat as crucial Brexit vote looms. Irish government warns drug supply threatened by no-deal Brexit.
Olly's up.
Yeah. Go on, James.
He's on mute, unmuted. You just.
I think Piers has muted himself, actually. I haven't got him muted. So,
hello?
Piers, hey.
Hi.
Piers Garnham. Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry I got stuck in traffic. It was absolute gridlock around where I live.
That's all right, mate. That's just like Brexit. Brexit's in gridlock too, around where everybody lives. And just got the audio going on in the background, Piers. I don't know if you can hear the ambience there of the Commons. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm not getting. You can hear me through my headphones through the speaker, but I'm not getting. I'm just getting you through my laptop rather than the headphones. So I don't know what I've.
Right. Okay. That's fine. That's fine, Piers, mate. Okay, it's good to hear from you anyway. It's been a long time. And how are you, man? So are you at home now?
Yes, I am. I've got in and yeah.
Okay. All right.
So and now, yeah, just sort of trying to find out what's going on with this this vote.
Yeah. Well, it's just a complete joke, isn't it? Basically, but the vote, we are waiting for them to come back into the chamber. They are at the moment, I think, voting on an amendment. And when they come back, they will presumably get onto the main event and vote on that. And so I guess we'll know within about half an hour or so. They seem to be taking their time, frankly. But anyway.
What is the amendment?
I'm not sure. That's a good question, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I know that's pretty poor, but I don't know. If anybody does know, please let me know, and I'll read out the comments. Yeah, so anyway, what do you think about all this, Piers, in general? What's been going on with Brexit?
I think that the vote, it'll be voted down this and the treasonous Parliament will find a way of delaying Article 50 altogether. I think, as I've said to you many times before, I think Theresa May was deliberately put in power by the globalists in order to thwart Brexit, to make sure it never happened. And that's why she refuses to step down if her deal doesn't go through. She's been given the job to stop it from happening, by any means possible. And if her deal doesn't go through, I don't think she's going to be that bothered. I think as long as Brexit doesn't happen, as long as we remain members of the EU, as we are now, I think she'll be happy. I think the last 2 years has just been a complete waste of time. She's just scuppered she's done everything to scupper the opportunity to leave. Democracy is really fragile right now, if not completely non-existent.
She stood up in the House, Piers, just before, in all the addresses in the House before they started voting on amendments. She stood up in the House and said that it's my deal or basically there's no Brexit. everything is at risk if you don't vote for my deal. What's your take on that? And what do you think of her deal?
Well, I think she knows her deal stinks to high heaven, and I don't think she cares whether it fails or not. That's not the objective. The objective is to make there's no alternative, so that remaining as we are won't seem so bad. I mean, her deal is worse than the current setup that we have with the EU. I mean, it's an absolutely terrible deal that will lock us in legal guarantees, and we will basically become an annex of Europe. No ways of making, we'll falling deal. It's a complete sellout of. So I think she doesn't care if it fails. Somehow they can come up with a situation in Parliament where legitimately revoke Article 50. General consensus in Parliament that the majority of MPs aren't representing their constituents anymore, or they're just any longer. It's not about representing people that voted you in and made you an MP in the first place. It's about being bought and paid for by the corporate lobby, which is essentially Europe. And I think the vast majority of our politicians are corrupted, and
the companies themselves, they're on their companies, registered companies, Parliament's a registered company.
Hold on, James, do me a favour. Put the microphone closer to your mouth, mate.
All right, I said Parliament is a registered company on a company's house and on Dun and Bradstreet as well. And so what they're doing as well, like Piers mentioned, they're doing everything on subversion tactics. They're trying to say this is what this pretty much acquiesces to, because it's all been pre-planned. Everything. It's a living, breathing matrix. That's the whole principle of it.
It's pretty awful, your audio, James, and so's yours, Piers, as well, to be honest with you, but there's not a lot I can do about it, I'm afraid. I'm waiting for...
My mic.
Go on. Yeah, no, that does help. That does help a lot. That does help a lot. I think it's probably partly because I did have a lot of tabs open, and I've been closing some to try and improve things. But also, this stream obviously coming in from Westminster, but I'm going to keep this up, and I don't know if you can see this, Piers and James, on your machines, but I'm going to keep this stream up because it basically shows us the state of the chamber, what's going on in the chamber, and we'll hear as soon as they come back with with the kind of results of these amendments or whatever, and maybe find out what the amendment was about.
Okay, I can hear you properly now.
The bottom line, though, Piers, is it just seems to me is that our democracy is just being stolen from us in front of our eyes by a parliament that is not representative of the people that voted for it, despite their manifestos. As Theresa May pointed out, in fairness to her, some of the things that she said before these votes were absolutely correct, such as that Parliament decided to give the British public the choice as to whether or not to stay in or leave the EU, and they did overwhelmingly. Only a few dozen abstained or basically said no to that, as Theresa May pointed out. And now, after 408 of 650 constituencies voting in GE terms to leave the EU, a landslide. Despite that, these MPs, by and large, are just... I mean, just incredible, isn't it? It just absolutely beggars belief, the disparity between these people that have the gall to consider themselves somehow public servants and what people actually voted for in that referendum.
Yes. I personally think that there's a lot more to it. You've got to look at the whole picture. From
Okay,
a
go
globalist.
on then. Come on. Go on then. All right.
I don't know how much time.
Weapons. That pretty much puts it all in perspective.
What does, James?
Control everything. Silent wars for quiet weapons. I regurgitated this last week.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's all right. But we haven't got time to read that now. So what? Oh.
Your own time, though. That's
Pardon?
what I said.
Yeah.
Read it in your own time, but carry on.
Sure.
No, I mean, I think just post Second World War, the world powers sort of got together and had a good long hard look at where they saw mankind going, and they did lots of modelling and projections, and they human population growth and expansion, and the detrimental effects that humanity were likely to have on the natural environment. So in '54, they created the Bilderberg Group, and it's only loosely called that because it was held in the Bilderberg Hotel in Holland in 1954 for the first time, and it's been an annual meeting that's taken place between the world leaders, the heads of all the banks and royalty, and anybody worth their salt turns up to these meetings. Get to find out what gets discussed. But our politicians, senior politicians, including the Prime Minister quite often, and senior ministers and cabinet ministers get summons to these meetings, and it seems that some sort of agenda is bestowed to them for the year ahead. It seems that this, my take on it is that Bilderberg Group was primarily set up to manage and control the human population on this planet, and a decision was made. We were going to have some sort of massive technological advancement, like a second industrial revolution that would enable us to the kind of population levels that we have and more in balance with nature, or the alternative solution was that they would knock hell out of the human population and massively reduce it and come up with a tactic that happened. There are all kinds of possibilities that there could be some impending natural, or there could be some sort of man-made sort of genocidal plan. There are two possible avenues at stake, but ultimately they've been hurt people into Northern America and Western Europe, so the full spectrum of genetic human diversity is in both those locations, which is obviously and the reason why there's been this very speedy and desperate push to homogenize Europe into a superstate under central control is because they want, because they're heading towards this junction. Yeah.
Hold on. This is Burke. Hold on.
Eyes to the right were 24.
Well, that didn't do much, did it?
The nose to the left.
Olly, it's like a game of bingo in there, isn't it?
600. So where's the other 26 MPs or whatever? Oh, anyway, go on, Piers. Hold on.
24.
24.
The nose to the left, 600. So the nose have it.
So there's 26. So maybe there's 13 that have done deals. 13 pairs not to vote or. Anyway, what was that about? No idea. Anyway, go on, Piers. Go on.
Has it been voted Labour? What does it say?
No, that's not May's deal. That's an amendment. That one.
Well, it's going to get voted down, isn't it? And then the House will vote to, delay or cancel Article 50. I think we'll end up in a second referendum scenario with two sections. Do we stay or leave?
It'll be the third referendum because we had one in 1970.
Now hold on a sec. This is the vote.
Exactly, for the joining of the EEC. Yeah, no, quite. I mean, but we'll have another one, and
right.
Basically they'll say another one in order to options that we didn't give them on the first time. So do we stay? Do we leave? That's option A. And then if we choose to do either of those options, if we choose to leave, then do we leave under WTO rules? Do we leave under some prearranged deal or what? I don't know what options they're going to. I'm imagining this is the way it's going to go. They're going to somehow blag it
That
I don't know.
last
Or they're going to try
amendment.
and cancel Brexit altogether.
That last amendment, was for the time limit on the backstop, according to Stavros. Yeah, but thank you, Stav. So anyway, now I think they're they're voting for the deal now. I think that now this is the deal. Yeah, this is the vote. They're going in, and so I suppose it'll be about 10 minutes or something. Anyway, Piers, carry on, mate.
No, just as I was saying, I think there's been an agenda at play. Believe that technology exists to allow us to sort of coexist with with the kind of population levels that we have now and potentially bigger, where we could coexist with nature in a harmonic way, in harmony, where we don't destroy the environment. However, giving us control of these technologies would take away their power over us. It would make us far too autonomous and capable of looking after ourselves, which of course they don't like. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. So they don't want to lose their grip of control over us. So they've decided not to give us these technologies. They've gone for the sort of genocidal approach. Now, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that we may be heading into a juncture in time in history where there will be some sort of natural disaster.
Oh, hold on. Piers, one sec.
Ministers of their opinion say aye.
Oh, blimey.
Of the country, no. No. Tellers for the ayes, Wendy Morton and Ian Stewart.
Oh,
Tellers
lucky.
for the noes, Vicky Foxcroft and Nick
Cub Scout.
Ollie, it's like a game of bingo winner, isn't it?
I don't know what that was either. You're watching live coverage of Westminster.
It's like a game. Honestly, it's like a game of bingo winner. You got John Burke.
Loathe that man with such a deep
Can you
passion.
believe what that guy did this week? Or last week? It was last week, wasn't it? Can you believe what the guy did? Just making it up as he goes along. Just making
got away with it, though, hasn't he? Because because
why?
I mean,
how can he get away with that? I know, but why, Piers? Why has he got away with that? He should not have got away with what he did. No.
It was a breach in the Constitution, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know the legalities of it all. This is the thing. But Dominic Grieve, treacherous MP that he is a lawyer by trade. So probably out of the legalities of it all, because he cooked it up in conjunction with the Speaker of the House, and
that's right.
I don't know the
and Ken Clark, I'll bet, who's a Bilderberger, isn't he?
John Burkle's always at Arsenal's football ground with Stan Kroenke, who's the owner, and they've got some form of agenda between them two as well.
Who, the owner of QPR?
No, Arsenal football.
Arsenal.
Yeah. He's an Arsenal fan, isn't he? John Burkle is.
Is he? I don't know. No idea.
Always executive box with him. Guarantee it. Because he came on this TV show called Arsenal Fan TV, and they were just... He was on it, so he kind of gave himself away in that aspect.
Right. Cheers, James. Yeah, I've no idea. Stephen Rutter says, not many a watch. We had a vote. How dare they go against 17.4 million and democracy and all those that fought and died so we could have, for the reasons alone, I be on the front line. Daz Butterfield, that's twice you have had to change your Jolly Rogers. And who is this guy, Alison Welsh? I don't know. Piers Garnham is on the show tonight. My old mucker Piers. Ian Bright says, yes, it was an act of treason to put themselves above the law, and no one done or said anything to stop them. So all of Parliament are, in fact, now in high treason against the people. Alison Welsh, Agenda 2030 fan, this bloke. Yeah, Alison. Yeah, I think you'll find that Piers would talk quite a lot about Agenda 2030. Alex Hine, has the show discussed whether Queen Elizabeth II has her own Magna Carta? No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But maybe we should. Debbie Shaw, Agenda 2020, more like. We know too much. They will speed it up now. Christopher Mitchell, 5G is a killer for mass genocide worldwide. Jane Middleton, TV says they are voting now on the withdrawal agreement. Result expected at 7:40 GMT. Right. Thank you. Thanks, Jane. Daz Butterfield, what a lot of old nonsense. Paul Hart's secret societies stick together. Debbie Shaw, why are they poisoning our skies and seas, making the planet unfit to exist on whilst we mine all the minerals for whom? And Ian Bright, in my opinion, civil unrest will be next. Then civil war will follow when the EU army is sent onto our streets to put it down. Now, Piers, it has to be said, there is an argument to say, is there not, that Parliament, if they extend Article 50, if they basically don't go for no deal, then, well, if we are not out of the EU on the 29th of March, then they've effectively declared war on democracy, no?
They have already, isn't it blatantly obvious?
Well, yeah, I think it is.
Democracy no longer exists. I mean, I don't actually believe genuinely democracy has existed for quite a long time. I think whether you vote Labour or Conservative or Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. The overriding agenda is always the same, and the people that they put in power are always working for the same organization, namely the globalist Bilderberg sort of deep staters, the ones with this overriding agenda. So, since the Kennedys, they were assassinated for actually trying to think outside the box and do their own thing. I think all the presidents of the United States, maybe bar the current one, have been working for deep state. So you can play party politics on a trivial level, over things that do affect people's daily lives, but in the overarching agenda, they don't really play into the rest of it. They're not important enough. So people can be distracted by that and play left or right or whatever it is, Democrat, Republican, Labour, Conservative, and that keeps them entertained and interested. But that's not really what we're really talking about here. We're talking about the most important decisions that could govern the direction of humanity as a whole. And those decisions always remain the same, and they are controlled by the globalist deep state. So people like Theresa May, Emmanuel Macron, Merkel, they are all working for these people. They are there to make sure that this agenda is brought into action no matter what. So we are seeing this crazy of flooding Western Europe, and it's happening. The same thing's happening in North America as well, with people from all over the world, spectrum of genetic human diversity in those two locales. I mean, interestingly enough, there's this very weird statue, which is a bit like a modern version of Stonehenge, that's built in Georgia. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. So if you Google it, there's a Wikipedia page on it, and you can look up the mantra that's written on the Georgia Guidestones. Interestingly enough, they're granite stones.
Hold on, Piers. Hold on, mate. Hold on. This is it. This is the big vote. Now, it looks as though it might be a couple of minutes earlier than predicted. I think they're about to give their verdict on May's deal, people. Okay, Piers, but I might cut you off quite suddenly when he starts piping up.
Well, these Georgia Guidestones. The expression written in stone. Well, there's a reason for that, because when you write something down, you're declaring your intention, and if you write it in stone, that intention can resonate through the rock. And they've actually built the Georgia Guidestones on the nodal points of crossing ley lines. And ley lines are is a geometric grid that lattices across the earth. Lines of great influence. Most of our cathedrals in the UK are built on ley lines because of their energetic resonance. And the deep state have built this monument directly on the nodal point of crossing ley lines in Georgia. So it's almost like a beacon of intention, for what they intend. And the first thing on the list that's written in 15 different languages, I think, all the major world languages, is maintain the human population of 500 million in perfect, in perpetual balance with nature. So I think
500 million.
If you look at that and then look at what they're actually doing with the world at the moment, where they're creating these melting pots of humanity in Northern Europe, in Western Europe and North America, they're probably but I think they're going to allow sort of 250 million to survive in North America and 250 million to survive in Western Europe. And how
You
the
think that's the
demise of
plan?
the rest of them is open to interpretation.
Okay, all right. Take a couple of comments. Burko is, well, he's about to speak any time, but Debbie says, yeah, I got Danny's live feed as that's okay, that's within the Alex Hine, the Queen is a supreme person in depiction of the country's sovereignty vis-a-vis the integrity of state and realm. Debbie Shaw, work out what religion will be cheaper for the superstate to run under. The one that discounts women and children's rights? Question mark. David Laddie says direct democracy is the way. Sam Phipps is agreeing with you, Piers. Stavros, representative democracy is a scam. Always has been. It is nothing more than selective dictatorship. David Laddie, Trump needs to turn the screw and put the tariffs on. And anytime they're going to announce their thing here. Yeah, I mean, blimey. Okay, Piers, what do you reckon? What's your projection? How many votes will she lose by?
I think she will be unanimously voted down.
650 to 0.
No, I don't think it'll be that severe. It'll be tight, but it won't be that tight. I mean, it's not going to be referendum tight. It'll be, I think 60
within 50 votes or
in favour of.
Would it be 50 or
40%?
Between 0 and 50 or 50 and 100 loss? Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say between 0 and 50.
Really? Would you?
Loss.
I'd say
maybe 100. Maybe 100.
Yeah, I'd put it in the top tier. I don't know. I'm going to say a 75 vote loss. Because they're such a bunch of toads that I reckon a lot of them would have changed their minds and said, yeah, we'll go with her deal. But
well, they've probably all been offered knighthoods and,
that's right. Exactly.
EU bonuses and,
Who was it that was put on the Privy Council last week? One of them. One of that lot. Yeah, there's been lots of that stuff being going on. Come on, get on with it. Now they're showing us a nice picture of Big Ben with a bit of scaffolding around the face.
I've got the live Parliament feed on my television at the moment. Here we go.
Okay.
It goes at it.
Hold on. Oh, blimey. Am I late then? Am I late? I could be late. Hold on. I'm going to refresh this feed because I might be late. So this is when I can't get the feedback. There's too many people watching it or something. Oh. Here we go.
Put it on the...
Hold it. Oh, no. I've just cocked it up, haven't I? It's loading. It's loading, people. It's loading. I know that this is...
200. She's lost by 230.
What? The eyes to the right.
230.
202.
202.
The nose to the left. 432.
Whoa! Whoa! That's 121 majority, no? 100 and...
What? The eyes to the right.
120 voted it down.
And the nose down.
202. Hold on.
Prime Minister's making his
right,
speech.
202. The nose to the
Oh, blimey. Don't...
left. 432. So the nose have it. The nose have it.
No, that's 220. She's voted down by...
Point of order. The Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the House has spoken.
Oh, blimey. Don't freeze. Don't freeze now.
And the government will listen. It is clear that the House does not support this deal, but tonight's vote tells us nothing about what it does support. Nothing about how...
So hold on, 220! 220, no?
It intends to honour the decision the British people took in a referendum Parliament decided
under MK
to hold.
Ultra mind control.
And people, particularly EU citizens...
Oh, come
who
on!
made their home here, and UK citizens living in the EU, deserve clarity on these questions as soon as possible.
No deal!
Order. I think with people
you wanna watch
shouting, there
this?
will be an opportunity for other points of order, but the Prime
Oh, come on, for goodness sake, stop there!
Minister must and will be heard. The Prime Minister.
Those whose jobs rely on our trade with the EU need that clarity. So, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to set out briefly how the government intends to proceed. First, we need to confirm whether this government still enjoys the confidence of the House. I believe that it does, but given the scale and importance of tonight's vote, it's like that others have the chance to
Hold on, James. Hold on. Hold on, James.
Question if they wish to do so. I can therefore confirm that if the official opposition table a confidence motion this evening in the form required by the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, the government will make time to debate that motion tomorrow.
Huh. Well, they will. Almost certainly. With a huge defeat like that.
And if, as happened before Christmas, the official opposition declined to do so, we will, on this occasion, consider making time tomorrow to debate any motion in the form required from the other opposition parties, should they put one forward.
Can you not hear it, Piers?
Second, if the House confirms its confidence in this government, I will then hold meetings with my colleagues, our confidence and supply partner, the DUP, and senior
Oh, for crying out loud. Stream properly.
Parliamentarians from across the House to identify what would be required to secure the backing of the House. The government will approach these meetings in a constructive spirit, but given...
This is ridiculous.
Oh. What is, Piers?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything?
I can see... all I can hear is just lots of cutting out.
Oh, it does keep cutting out.
Can
you not hear her now?
Sufficient support in this House. Third, if these meetings yield such ideas, the government will then explore them.
Oh,
with the
blimey, stop
Union.
buffering and just
Mr. Speaker,
stream.
I want to end by offering two reassurances. The first is to those who fear that the government's strategy is to run down the clock to the 29th of March.
Oh, for God's sake, it's like watching
that is
paint
not
dry.
our strategy. I've always believed that the best way forward is to leave in an orderly way with a good deal and have devoted much of the last 2 years negotiating such a deal.
Jeremy Corbyn's responding already.
She has to stand down. She has got to stand down!
As you confirmed, Mr. Speaker,
I'm rebooting this page. Fed up of that bloody page. I'm rebooting this page, yeah. Trying to, hopefully Corbyn's speaking now. Bugger what she's got to say. We've had 2 years of that bloody woman. Fed up to the back teeth of that bloody woman. Sorry, Piers, go on, mate.
After 2 years of failed negotiations, the House of Commons has delivered
Corbyn.
You can hear it through my speaker on the telly.
And that verdict is absolutely decisive. I hear the words of the Prime Minister, but actions of her government of the past 2 years speak equally clearly. She is only attempting to reach out now to try to keep her failed process and deal alive after it's been so roundly rejected by Parliament on behalf of the people.
Yeah.
Of this country.
Do you want me to do it on my telly?
Labour has laid out our priorities consistently. No deal must be taken. No deal must be taken off the table. A permanent custom.
Oh, for crying out loud. Yes, please, Piers. Let's try that. Because this is just painful.
Customs union must be secured and...
Going to try and take the audio from Pierce's telly. This is ridiculous. I don't know why it isn't streaming. What a pain in the arse. Hey, Helen Lasky-Smith. Good to see you. Lots of love to you too. WTO, not NWO, says Pauline Rusco-Smith. Yeah, damn right. Jane Middleton. David, you took the words right out of my mouth. What did David say? Oh, hold on. Let's put Corbyn back on then. I can't hear Pierce's telly at all.
The Conservative Party. Her governing principle of delay and denial has reached the end of the line.
No, it's even worse, Piers. It's even worse, mate. But thank you.
She is capable of negotiating.
Oh, dear. I'll tell you, what a pain. Right, I'm going to close a bunch of news tabs. Maybe that'll help.
Negotiating a good deal for the people of this country. The most important issue facing us is
Quite nice to
that
hear
the
that.
government has lost the confidence of this House and this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, inform you I have now
Come on.
tabled a motion of no confidence in this
Row,
government.
row.
And I'm pleased that motion will be
Oh, come
Wait,
on.
how about we
Go on, Piers.
debated tomorrow.
Do you wanna
so this House can
adjourn
give its
until,
verdict
I don't know,
on the
No,
sheer
you know what? No,
incompetence
that's
of this
enough.
government.
That's enough of them. That's enough of them. Okay, we get the idea. Yeah, we get the idea. We know what's going on. So there's a motion of no confidence in Theresa May now. So that her deal was scuppered by a margin of 221 votes, Piers. No? I think? Is my maths wrong?
I think it was.
Incredible. 220. Unbelievable.
It's a terrible, terrible deal. I mean, it was a joke from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was never intended to actually succeed. I mean, it's outright total treachery. All they're doing, the whole mechanism over the last 2 years has been to try and destroy, by any means necessary. So present a deal that's so appallingly bad that it doesn't happen, but then create a sort of, try and create an environment where Brexit doesn't happen at all, which is what they're going to do now. I mean, they're bending the rules of legality to the nth degree and stepping over it by the looks of things. I mean, Bercow is hell bent on stopping Brexit. Dominic Grieve is hell bent on stopping Brexit.
She has to resign tonight. She has to resign. She has to resign before that vote. But the Tory party surely would demand it. She's going to get a lot of phone calls over dinner, over an M&S takeout meal. She's going to take a lot of calls, and they're all going to be saying, "You must resign tonight." And we need to have a leadership election, because otherwise we're going to have a Labour government. And then we're probably going to get someone like Keir bloody Starmer and Hilary Benn get their way.
Olly, you're
votes for
missing the point.
16-year-olds. Go on.
Olly, she will not resign. She will not resign. She's going to fight tooth and nail to stay in power for as long as possible, because she wants to make sure Brexit doesn't happen. She was put in power not by the British people, but none of us voted for her. Cameron stepped down, and she was put in power by the deep state, to make sure Brexit doesn't happen, so they can carry on with their homogenization of Europe, leading up to whatever event, that we've been discussing already. I mean, she's going to do everything to carry on and frustrate and thwart democracy. I mean, they've already had there was a vote of no confidence in the Conservative Party, and they re-elected her as Prime Minister, or kept her in power. The same thing would happen again. The Tories are riddled with traitors, and it doesn't matter, if we have another leadership should get re-voted in again. The numbers of traitors in the Conservatives are so outweigh the number of true Democrats. So we're stuck with it. And we can't get a true Brexiteer Prime Minister, in power, because the Tories won't vote for one. They won't vote for a true Brexit Prime Minister. They re-elected Theresa May. There was a vote of no confidence, and she got and they voted in favour of her. Why do you think that would change? I mean, it's not going to. They are going to do everything in their power to just frustrate this process until everybody's so utterly sick to death of it. That whatever they do, nobody will care, because we're sick to death of it, which is what they're hoping for. They'll literally do anything. I mean, I'm almost they are at the point where they are. The fact that real democracy, doesn't actually exist is now being laid bare for all to see. I mean, none of these politicians are acting in the interests of what the people voted for. You've got the majority of Conservative constituents, Conservative boroughs, in constituents who voted to leave, not being represented by the MPs, their own MPs. Mm-hmm. These MPs were elected by these people to stand in Parliament and speak for them, and they're not. None of them are, or very few of them. Absolute farce. This is not democracy. We do not, and it's now being laid bare. It's that we're now curtain and having a thorough good look behind the curtain about how the system really works. And democracy has been dead for a very long time, for decades, I'd say. Only now that we're really, truly beginning to realize that. And the reason for that is because of this overriding agenda that usurps the natural rule of democracy and law. It's deemed so important. I mean, you had David Attenborough stand up and make a big speech the other day about how we have, very limited time, 10 years. If we don't radically change the way we're living in 10 years, we're screwed. And to assume that they have actually already put a plan in action, that plan usurps the natural rule of law and democracy because it's deemed so fundamentally important for the survival of our species and this planet. That's what's going on. These people, May, Merkel, Macron, you can name just three, that they are agents of this agenda and usurps all natural forms of democracy.
Do you think that Trump?
Because it's
do you think that Trump is trying to attack the deep state genuinely, or do you think that it's all theatrics?
I do think that Trump is being used as a sort of a kind of puppet figure, a sort of jester who's deliberately been put in power to rile everybody, discombobulate everybody, frustrate everybody, make everybody aghast at his craziness and the things that he says. And that's a beautiful distraction for what's really happening, the fundamentals. And I do believe there's a war going on planet Earth right now for these two different philosophies: the Bushes and the Blairs and the Camerons and all these people work for this philosophy. They go to these Bilderberg meetings and they're briefed. This is your agenda for the year ahead. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and then they try and carry out that to the best of their ability, trying to maintain the impression that democracy exists. But that veil has now been lifted. We can now safely say that democracy is well and truly dead, and that these people are not acting in the interests of the British public because they work for an agenda that is deemed more important. We are breeding ourselves into extinction. We are decimating.
Piers, hold that thought. I just want to get a bit more of a flavour of what's going on in the House. Just for a minute or so, Piers, and then come back to you and close the show. But we missed it actually. But it was, what's her name? It was one of the main. Yvette Cooper. This is the
now really ticking down. The Prime Minister did not mention what will happen to Article 50. Mr.
Oh, blimey! It's on Rupley now. Yeah, I'm using Rupley RT, which is much better at covering this stuff than the BBC, by the way.
Speaker, can you advise the House on what we might be able to do to urge the Prime Minister, for the sake of businesses and jobs and people across the country, to seek an immediate extension of Article 50?
There you go. So that's it, isn't it? That's it. That's what they're looking for now, is to extend Article 50 as predicted. I mean, truth, Piers, I think we started this show together, Daily Brexit, you and me, and I think that that was what we were talking about, in fact, before this show, when we were doing Jingly Jangly. And nothing has changed. Everything that we have seen from the referendum campaign up to now has been engineered to now bring about this extension of Article 50. That's what they're going to do, surely.
They'll extend it indefinitely, and we will remain on the same terms indefinitely. You see, the true fact of it is the European Union is too fiscally damaged to be able to survive the loss of the second biggest net contributor to the European coffers. So basically, the long and the short of it is, if we do leave on WTO rules and don't pay them their 39 billion ransom fee, then they're fucked. Sorry, excuse my French. But they can't afford to see the British, the Britain leave. So that's what it all boils down to. We are ostensibly wholeheartedly responsible for. We will be ostensibly wholeheartedly responsible for the collapse of the entire system, namely the EU, if we leave. And that is why it's been so wholehearted. We will be the catalyst that brings the whole thing down. And I guarantee it. The banks are all broke. They're all printing money out of thin air, rehypothecating debt, buying their own shares in companies and buying their own bonds, debt bonds. The European Central Bank, buy their own debt. It's ridiculous. The whole system is very, very fragile, and has been skirting along a knife's edge or cliff edge for years, and they are, fiscally in an extremely difficult and dangerous position. So they cannot afford to lose the UK, and these bought and paid for autocrats are all sign up for it, and they're doing their best to thwart the natural democratic processes because there's too much at stake. In their minds, if the European Union collapses, but I do believe there may be contingency plans afoot, that this globalist philosophy that is ultimately being fought against now. I do believe that the deep state planned to decimate the human population. Now, whether that was going to happen through some natural cataclysm like a pole shift or some sort of EMP from the sun, or a combination of them both, I don't know. Only time will tell. However, there are plenty of other means and methods that they could decimate the human population. They probably have all kinds of pathogens that are specific, specific types of pathogen that they can release. They probably have antidotes for. They can choose who they want to survive. Yes, it seems like too far-fetched to believe, but this is what's at stake. Humanity is at stake. Our mere survival is at stake. They have made this decision. I believe there is a force out there fighting this philosophy now. I do believe that that yes, the people working behind Trump are doing their best to bring down this philosophy, which involves decimating the human population and human population of 500 million, in perpetuity with nature. Their idea is not give us the technology, keep themselves in power, centralize that power, and when when things have settled down,
you nearly swore again.
You nearly population.
Yeah, that's right. Charlotte Jameson blames David Laddie and Putin. Alison Welsh, run by the Vatican. Just a few comments here, Piers, so that you can get an idea of, because I know you really wanted to talk about aliens and stuff too. We'll do that next week, maybe. Sam Phipps says, we could have almost written the script for what would happen. Helen Lasky-Smith says, good to see you too. Hope you're well. And says that she doesn't trust politicians. David Laddie says that Charlotte is a grass. And Alison Welsh says that en masse we withhold funds. Stephen Rutter, even Soros said it. It's over if the UK leave. Debbie Shaw, another reason they're speeding up microchipping, won't have a choice. And Rachel Caroline Davidson, what do we do? All general strike? What do we do, Piers?
Well, believe it or not, even though I'm speaking the way I have been and talking in this kind of really rather depressing manner, I do believe that we will prevail. I do believe that the bad guys are on the run. I do believe the bad guys are on the run in the States, and this is the reason why everything's gone completely crazy. Both sides of the pond, everything in Europe's gone completely crazy. Everything's gone completely crazy in the States. You've got a government shutdown that's lasted nearly a month. It looks as if they're going to have a full-blown federal emergency. They're probably the installation of martial law. I believe this is because.
Oh, blimey. Hold on, Piers. Hold on. I'll stop that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Carry on. You're on the same. Yeah, it's all right. You're on the same fader as the music thing. I forgot. Carry on. Yes, go on, please.
I believe we are in a battle that the good guys will win. I do believe that this year, 2019, is going to be very, very important year. In terms of how the world is going to be, how the world's going to change. We're actually going to be told some truths this year for the first time in decades, and some of those truths are going to be very difficult to, hard pills to swallow. But nevertheless,
you think we are? You think that we're going to get told some truths, or you think that they're just going to basically ignore us? Because they seem to be trying to ignore us as much as they can. And the media is ignoring us as well. The media is ignoring what people are saying entirely. And all of them are saying, for example, things like their editorial, you should be backing May's deal. They were all saying. Even the Express was saying it. I mean, just completely nuts stuff that even the parliamentarians didn't agree with. Who actually, as an aside, who is more complicit, the media or the politicians? Sorry,
I mean,
Piers.
the media is all owned by the corporations that attend Bilderberg. I mean, why people even watch the news or read the newspaper, I don't know, because it's all just propaganda, or the vast majority of it is. And, it's truths mixed in with a majority of fiction. So they make it plausible enough to suspend disbelief. And, but it is the vast majority of what we're fed daily in the news, in the mainstream, is complete nonsense, and that that we really do need to take with a pinch of salt. Everything in this world has been designed to create a sort of, to build an impression of what this world is about in our minds. We're daily programmed. We watch the TV and we're programmed to think. Yes, we're conditioned to think a certain way. So everything we read, in the news or in literature and watch on the telly and go to the cinema, a lot of it's also truth shown as fiction.
Piers,
and they there's a
Piers.
Yeah.
Can we continue this next week, or maybe on Thursday?
Thursday.
Or you've got choir practice
Possibly,
or something, haven't you?
As they like to say, fiction, reality today, fiction. Well, fiction today or reality tomorrow.
I need a. I tell you what, I need a pee. Piers, can we do this? Can we? We're going to have to continue.
Fiction today, reality tomorrow.
That's right, James.
Today, carried on.
Yeah, we'll carry this on. Yeah. It's only an hour now, the show. It's only an hour. Sorry. That was a bad out... Oh. Thank you, Piers. Piers Garnham, God bless you. And I'm sorry you're on the same fader as the music as well. And, yeah.
No worries.
And you, James. And Spirit popped in on Discord as well, and I didn't ask him anything. And, yeah. So, anyway, her deal has been voted down by 230 votes, and thanks for the correction in the comments there. And there you go.
That's right.
So basically, yeah, they'll keep playing with us, no doubt. Yeah. You've been checking out the Daily Brexit with me, Olly Connolly. See you tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, man. Get reading that Silent Wars for Quiet Weapons, Olly.
Yeah. I'm going to take a pee.
Watch it on YouTube. It's about an hour long.
I'm going to separate the faders so the music is not on the same fader as my guests as well. I'm going to do that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you. Loads of comments. I think everybody, is basically equally perplexed and frustrated and agrees with Piers by the look of this. So, yeah, here's to us and bugger plutocracy. See you tomorrow. Ciao.
Bugger John Burko.
Yeah, bugger John Burko, James. That's right. Spirit, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good to hear you.
I've been trying to get on for a couple of days.
Have you? I wasn't on yesterday.
Yeah, and Friday.
Well, see you tomorrow. 7 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah. More organised tomorrow. Yeah, probably not. I'll try and separate the faders. Yeah, I'll try and do that.
What happened last month where these two photos went out? And I saw that video. The woman.
That's James. Right. Ciao, folks. God bless you. Have a good night.
Yeah. You too, Olly.